Good afternoon. Welcome to the Diversion Authority Finance Committee meeting for May 24th. First order of business is Don. Would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes, here.
Mahoney. Mr. Peterson. Mr. Steen. Mr. Pappenfuss. Mr. Emiger.
Here.
Mr. Redlinger.
Sorry, here.
Mr. Grimberg.
Here.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Here.
Mayor Carlson.
Here.
Mr. Reeds.
Here.
Ms. Madriga.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you, Don. Next order of business is to approve the minutes of April 26, 2023. It's on page 3 of the packet.
So moved.
Thank you, Mayor Carlson. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Grinberg. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of April 26th. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3 is the approval of the order of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Grinberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Pipcorn seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the order of the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 4 is the approval of the bills. We call on Mr. Mike Reddinger, City Administrator, City of Fargo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll speak briefly to the bills. The bills are found on page 5 of the packet. You'll see that the top numbers there are for Cass County Joint at $8.7 million, and then the city reimbursement to us, City of Fargo, for in-town flood projects, a total of $10.9 million this month for bills. And so we'd request the Finance Committee's recommendation of approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reddinger.
Move to approve. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the bills. Don, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Emiger.
Here, I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Redlinger.
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Reeds.
Yes.
Ms. Madriga.
Yes.
That is everyone.
Thank you, Don. Item number 5 is the finance report. Again, we call on Mr. Mike Reddinger.
Yes, on page 21 of your packet is the finance report. You will see total revenues through May that have been accounted for of $1.1 billion, and the expenses below that. And then the statement of net position follows on page 22. You'll see the net position has changed a bit from last month. You'll see total assets of $185 million in the grand total, with the liabilities below that, so a total net position of $184 million. So that report has been provided by Wyatt in our office, who apologizes he wasn't able to join us here today. He's at the GFOA conference in Portland, Oregon, so I'm standing in for Wyatt Pappenfuss from our staff. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Reddinger. Any questions? Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the finance report, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 6 is the Executive Director's financial report. Call on Mr. Paulson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll start with the revenue budget first.
No.
So the City of Fargo sales tax and the Cass County sales tax, the first two lines there, are coming in as expected, 2.8 and 1.3 million respectively. We did make our first draw of the legacy bond fund for 18.9 million. So those revenues came in this month, as well as a $2.5 million reimbursement from the state revolving loan fund. That's principally to cover recent costs for the City of Fargo in-town flood protection projects. We did see an $810,000 revenue from financing proceeds. That's financing from our cash reserves. And then some reimbursements, sale of assets, that's sale of asset land, some small property income from our land leases. Miscellaneous is kind of the catch-all at $492,000. And then we had some interfund transfers. These are funds set up within the master indenture of trust that are gaining interest. And that's the revenue that was transferred into the program. So we had total revenues this month of $30.2 million.
there any questions on that part of the report? Please continue.
Okay, as far as our cash budget is concerned, just a couple things to note on this slide. Lands and impacted property mitigation is at 18 million. We had about a $1 million increase month over month in that category. The one below it for engineering and design fees, we had about 1.2 million in costs this month. And then under the third-party MOU mitigation, we had an increase of about 3 million month over month for a total of 11.8 million. Total fiscal year to date, 50.2 million. And I would say we're still on track. There's no issues in any of the categories mentioned here as far as the cash budget is concerned. We do have some cash budget change requests that we'll discuss in a later section. But I don't see anything going outside the parameters on our budget tracking. And I don't think there's probably a need to get into the level 2 unless anybody has any questions.
Anybody on the Finance Committee have any questions?
Okay, and then I did want to just mention the Diversion Authority operations budget. Again, about 1/3 of the way through the year, everything looks to be tracking as we had anticipated in the cash budget. So,
Very good. Any questions at all? Move on to item number 7, please. Again, Mr. Polson.
all right, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Finance Committee. I have 4 budget change requests for the committee to review and approve if so necessary. The first one is budget change request 12. This is a utility budget change request for the Magellan pipeline. We did expect these charges to be billed in 22 under the cash budget. However, we've just received the invoices for that, and we're anticipating the invoices next month from Magellan. And so we would like to increase the cash budget by the 2.5 million for a total of 24 million in the cash budget for the Magellan pipeline. And if you'd like, Mr. Chair, I can go through each of these, or we could take them one at a time. It's whatever your preference.
What's the pleasure of the committee?
Oh, we just do them all.
Okay. The next budget change request is budget change request 13. Again, this is for some additional utility relocates in the upstream mitigation area. And this again is another invoice for a Sprint relocation line that we had anticipated in 2022. And just for the committee's knowledge, we generally assume that if we get the invoices within the first few months of the next year, that we would allocate it to the 2022 cash budget. Because we're receiving it now here in May and June, it just is appropriate to track it under the 2023 budget. And so we're requesting a budget increase, cash budget increase of 566 million, or thousand, sorry. The next budget change request is budget change request 14. This is again for contracted utility relocations for work package 47. This is really related to the Cass Rural Water District's reservoir and their well site that's within the UMA. This is work that Cass Rural Water was not sure when they were going to complete. We now have a more detailed schedule for them, and they would like to begin this utility relocation this year. And so we're requesting a cash budget increase of 1.6 million for that work. The last budget change request for consideration is number 15, and this is for the recreation master planning. This was a topic that we discussed at the last Finance Committee meeting and board meeting. The Planning Committee is recommending a $10,000 budget for looking into the MetroCog Greenway study and determining feasibility of certain elements within there for recreation features. We would then take those elements and bring it to the task force that we'll be creating for study and bring that back to Finance Committee and Board for feasible alternatives for recreation. So this was discussed and I think verbally directed for us to prepare a scope, and this is the scope before you, as well as the formal budget change request for the recreation study. And prepared for any comments or questions.
Move to approve all four.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Are there any questions of Mr. Paulson? Commissioner Pipcorn.
So if you can go back to my question, Joel, is so all those utility relocations and all that stuff, that was all anticipated. My question is, are they in the ballpark of what you were projecting? Are they coming in higher because of inflation, or are they pretty close to what you had anticipated?
That's a great question, Commissioner Pepcorn. So the Magellan pipeline relocation is actually coming in under budget. The Sprint relocation is where we had anticipated. However, there have been other utility relocations outside of these budget change requests that have been higher than anticipated. We are at a future Finance Committee, we will be coming to see if we can move some of the money saved from transferring the Oxbow-Hickson levy project over to the core, which is about 15 million, and transfer some of that budget over to our utility relocate budget. So we'll have that at an upcoming Finance Committee meeting. So to answer your question, yes, some of the utilities are coming in higher than anticipated because of material costs and the escalation therefore. And so we will be discussing that at a future Finance Committee meeting.
Commissioner Grinberg.
Joel, maybe just an update. What's the current thinking as far as the task force? I mean, is there any draft forms of that or the thought process behind from our prior discussions? And then is the expectation with the task force to come back for more spending with a budget allotment for whatever the task force, or is it too premature?
Well, I think we wanted to see what we could necessarily accomplish out of the MetroCog rec plan with this study, and then define the task force around that. I guess at a high level, I would anticipate folks from the park districts and the member entities, as well as community members and nonprofits such as the Trail Builders, perhaps the River Keepers, those sorts of people. So we could have a fairly large task force, which I think in this case is probably good, because there's a lot of different representation for different groups and scope items that could be contained therein. That task force would then, review the material that we believe is feasible out of the MetroCog rec plan and make recommendations back to us as to what would be the priority of projects if funding and the board were to take action.
So presumption would be then that task force would be volunteer-based and it wouldn't need to be financed in any way, shape, or form?
That's correct.
Mayor Mahoney.
Yeah, at planning, we talked about this, and the thing we found is there's certain things Mayor Carlson talked about they could or could not do in Minnesota, and there were some things we couldn't do because of regulations in the P3. So part of the issue we didn't want to do is form a task force, have them come back with this wish list, and then find out they can't do any of them or can't do part of them. So the idea of this task is let's figure out what they could do, because as I recall, I think MetroCog had like a $50 million kind of project. But on several items in the planning discussion, we were told, oh, can't do that, can't do that, can't do that. So we thought this cleans that up. Then they could have that volunteer task force discuss what we could do.
Commissioner Pipcorn.
Mr. Chair, just to follow up, Joel, the state of North Dakota and state of Minnesota, because especially, I think there's potential with whatever, the state being involved with maybe a potential park or something like that. So I don't know if you had anticipated that they were going to be a part of it maybe down the road, but I think that'd be good. I don't know if you had planned to include them or not, and I'm sure, anyway.
Yeah, we did plan to include folks from the state of Minnesota and North Dakota, especially North Dakota Parks. They've expressed a keen interest in being involved in those task force discussions.
Move to approve all four.
Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Mahoney second by Mayor Carlson, to approve all 4 of the items. Is there any further discussion? With that, Don, would you please call a roll?
Mayor Durdis,
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney,
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger,
yes,
Mr. Redlinger,
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg,
Oh, me? Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn,
Aye.
Mayor Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. Reeds,
yes,
Ms. Madriga.
Yes.
That is everyone.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item number 8, again, we call on Mr. Paulson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 contracting actions for the committee to review. The first one is Task Order 6 Amendment 0. This is for a 3-phase relocation for Cass County Electric to relocate their line within the UMA in anticipation of the Corps' construction of SE2A and SE2 Gap and SE. So this was in the budget, and as anticipated, this is just a task order for approval. The second one is a Task Order 7 Amendment 0. This is to provide 3-phase power to the Ryan Richards farmstead relocation, which is outside of the UMA. This was a relocation of a farm that was in the UMA. Per the settlement agreement, we are required to provide the same level of power at this site as he had at his original operations. So this is for Cass County Electric to run that wire to the new site. The last one is Task Order 101, Amendment 7. Really, a majority of this is for the Cheyenne and Maple River Aqueduct Mitigation Project. And we probably haven't talked formally, publicly about this all that much, but this is a project related to our mitigation requirements under NEPA for fish passage on the Maple and the Cheyenne River. We have been in development of this project with the agencies in Minnesota and North Dakota, as well as the Corps of Engineers, for quite some time. We found an acceptable solution, and so this would be the task order to get HMG moving on the engineering and project development side to move this project forward. This will be a requirement of our 404 permit for the developer to continue construction on the aqueducts. So time is of the essence. So I apologize, we haven't had too much time to have conversations about these developments, but we will be doing a presentation at the board, just quick to talk about it and ask any questions. But this is to get them started. This is a multi-year contract, so this isn't this isn't something just for this year. We will have a portion of this included in the cash budget under engineering services. We already feel that there's enough room in the cash budget, so we're not coming for a cash budget change request in order to add these services for HMG this year.
Thank you, Mr. Paulson. Any questions?
Move to approve all items.
I have a motion by Mayor Mahoney to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Grinberg, second's been moved and seconded to approve. Is there any discussion? Don, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Durdis,
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney,
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger,
aye,
Mr. Redlinger,
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg,
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn,
Aye.
Mayor Carlson,
Yes.
Mr. Reeds,
yes,
Ms. Madriga.
Yes.
That is everyone.
Thank you, Don. Motion passes. Item number 9, other business. City of Fargo work plan for projects bid in 2023. Calling on Chris Backergaard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you today, we have a work plan adjustment for the City of Fargo work. We were here a couple months ago, or shortly after the first of the year, and adjusted these budgets, anticipating the construction this year. The city has now bid these projects last month. The bids came in about 8% over the engineer's estimate, which was in our tolerance for award. We are requesting a small budget adjustment here to do 2 things. One, as a part of the city's schedule, they extended the project from a 1-year to a 2-year construction schedule. So we need to add an allowance for some additional contract administration time. And then we also, as we've done in the past, we also are readjusting their contingency to give them some room to manage the construction process back up to 5%. And again, that contingency will only get spent if and when something happens on the project where we need to make adjustments. So with that, we're requesting a budget amendment of $656,579.90. And with that, I could stand for any questions if anybody has them.
Thank you, Mr. Lockhart. Questions?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Grinberg moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Carlson, second. That's how you're reaching for the microphone. Is there any further discussion? Don, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger.
Aye.
Mr. Redlinger.
Aye.
Mr. Grinberg.
Aye.
Mr. Capcorn.
Aye.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Reeds.
Yes.
Ms. Majuga.
Yes.
And that is everyone.
Motion passes. Mayor Carlson?
Yes. Is there anything else on the agenda? Otherwise, I have an announcement to make from the Minnesota legislature.
Okay. All right. You have the floor.
I didn't know. Were you going to talk?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm setting something up, so go right
Okay.
ahead. I'll-
Well, so Chair and Finance Committee just wanted to update everyone that the Minnesota legislative session ended yesterday, or night before, and it looks like Minnesota, or the city of Moorhead, will receive $11 million in flood mitigation funds, which will be able to complete 3 out of our 5 in-town flood mitigation projects. So that is where we are at with our 2023 session. So I know that has been a question that's been brought up.
How about the county? Did the county get some money too?
That was the only flood mitigation funding coming to either the city or the county.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank
Paul,
you.
did you have something for us?
I do have one other piece of other business if you're ready to proceed. I don't want to interrupt any of the board members if they have anything. But before you is one other, if I can zoom in here correctly, I will do that. One other piece.
Paul, could you get to the microphone, please? Or-
Yeah,
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
sorry. We have placing in front of you is a request from the authority to bid a project in a very short turnaround. The background of this is that as we were constructing the AAB site, there was a shortage of material that was delivered to the site for numerous reasons. The RRVA, the contractor that is building it as part of the P3, is ramping up this summer to do the wick drains and then start finishing building the site, starting probably around mid-June to early July. We're looking at providing some material to the AAB site so that RRVA can continue their construction. And we are still in discussions with RRVA on getting all of the material there. There's some in stockpiles adjacent to the site, but we are short a certain amount of material to that site. What we are requesting, due to the short turnaround of this, the state statutes for bidding requirements of 3 weeks of bidding, in order to meet the July 1st date, we're asking for authorization by the board, by the Finance Committee and the board, to bid and award a contract. That's outside of the normal process where we typically bring the bids to the low bids to the board for their approval and review. But in order to expedite this, we're asking for the board to give us approval on that. One assurance, and we've been talking with the executive director on this, is that if it is outside of what we feel are normal boundaries and excessive amounts of money on that we would not award this recommended we would not award this project, but rebid it.
What he's requesting is an amount not to exceed $1 million into the 2023 cash budget and authorize the MFDA to proceed with advertising for bid and award a contract not to exceed $1 million to the lowest
Actually, the
responsible.
motion is different, Chairman.
Pardon me?
Motion is different.
The one that is up on the board does not have a dollar amount. If the chair would like to add a dollar amount, we are fine with that, to put a cap on it. It's the committee's preference and the chair's preference. So we've presented it with a dollar amount, but yet the one that's in front of you removes that dollar amount just to provide clarity, assurance for the board. We can put it in there. However, with the bidding climate, we've now put a number out in front of the bidders too. So either way that your preference, we could do that.
Mayor Mahoney.
I would do the proposed motion, but I would add to it after review by Joe Paulson and the chair, just to reiterate to get the lowest bid. We'd have to justify it to the board if we did something different. But I think it just adds the scrutiny of the board to the final bid, if that's okay. That'd be my
So the
motion.
motion we're considering is to authorize the MFDA to proceed with advertising for bid and award a contract to the lowest responsible bidder for delivering fill material to the AAB site under review of Executive Director Joel Paulson
And chair.
and the
So
chairman,
moved.
Mayor Mahoney.
So moved.
Is there a second? Commissioner Grinberg moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Mayor Mahoney second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please, Don.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger.
Aye.
Mr. Redlinger.
Aye.
Mr. Grinberg.
Aye.
Mr. Popcorn.
Aye.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mr. Reeds.
Yes.
Ms. Madriga.
Yes.
And that is everyone.
Motion passes. Thank you, Don. Our next meeting is going to be June 21st, 2023. Does any member of the Finance Committee have anything that you'd like to bring forward this afternoon? Anything additional from staff? Again, our next meeting is June 21st. We stand adjourned. Thank you.